With the NBA draft concluding, some trades already being made, and free agency opening up, I just wanted to look back on the first month of the offseason and every single trade with fresh new eyes. I will say that the Giannis to Miami Heat as well as the Julius Randle to Brooklyn 3-team trade will be excluded, as my opinion has stayed relatively the same. And if you want to check out that video, to look in the description of the video or just click on my channel, gotta do my self-promotion. The first trade of the entire offseason is Aaron Wiggins going for a 2030 second rounder, unprotected from Atlanta, plus an additional unfavorable second rounder between Atlanta and the Lakers in 2032. If you watched my content up until now, you know my initial reaction is currently posted on screen, and I want to give some extra notes. If the cost is only 2 second rounders, couldn't you have at least gotten some favorable swaps or 2 unprotected second rounders? I mean, that is a nitpick, right? But if you're shedding salary, I think it's best to do it effectively. And for the Atlanta side, they acquire another dynamic guard/wing who can attack off the closeout, creating space. It can shoot the 3-ball.
Operating very smooth.
Transitioning into the next trade, the Grizzlies utilized the second rounders they acquired from trading down 16-17 and 17-21 in order to acquire Isaiah Stewart. Not only do I like this move because of the historical grit and grind Memphis has embodied, see what I did there? But I also like this move due to the lack of foot speed and mobility from other front court players like Aldama and Edey. For the Pistons side of things, this was nothing more than salary saving, and I think they did it pretty well.
And Rollins inside the paint.
Yeah. Let me redo my opinion on the LaMelo Ball to Minnesota trade, specifically for the Charlotte Hornets side. I literally saw the notification, booted up the recording, and posted the video. However, after, talking through it and also watching some other reactions, I want to reform my opinion on, the Hornets trading away LaMelo. Yeah, you moved off probably your best player from your magical season, only got 1 unprotected first rounder accompanied by some seconds. But I think I might have miscalculated somewhere. The Hornets not only received Naz Reid, a big man who can handle the ball in spurts as well as shoot it alongside the rest of the lineup, but those swaps are essentially insurance in case the LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards experiment doesn't work out in Minnesota. I still do think Minnesota won the trade as of right now and will probably be the better team for the rest of the decade, but Charlotte won it another way. With LaMelo being on the news for all the wrong reasons in the streets, as well as his sometimes careless attitude infecting the locker room, the Hornets became a more grounded and, quote-unquote, straight-to-business organization while looking at analytics as their foundation. Something I did find funny was that LaMelo analytically and objectively made the Hornets better. But hey, I'm trying my best to be positive when talking about this trade. I'd say it's now a B- for the Hornets and not an F when I was very emotional in that video. Because you're still giving up one of the best floor raisers in the league. I did say that, yes, without anyone really being able to replace his gravity on a game-to-game basis. I have no idea what it is with the Thunder not getting max value from their assets. But yeah, we get another trade from the Thunder where they give up a starting caliber asset for simply 2 second rounders. I wasn't even expecting an Isaiah Joe trade to begin with. I was kind of just expecting some Aaron Wiggins and Lou Dort moves. But giving him to literally the best team in the opposite conference for essentially free is insane work. And the Thunder have nobody to blame but themselves if the Pistons end up in the NBA Finals with Joe on a heater for the entire run. For Detroit, they acquire an incredible shooter not named Duncan Robinson, and Isaiah Joe is a better Kevin Huerter in terms of role, while also making around $5.5 million less than what Kevin Huerter was making last year on his expiring deal. And my initial reactions, called Joe a 3-point shooter, nothing else. But, after looking through some film and just reliving the season, essentially, he actually does have a bit of a downhill game off the closeout with the floater, his layups, as well as a service to a mid-range jumper. Incredible work for Detroit, being a very sneaky finesse for the first seed in the East last season.
The bane of their existence. Joe, wow.
Okay, so my opinion on this trade took a complete 180 on the Phoenix side of things within 24 hours. My initial thought process was Phoenix opens up a roster spot, saves a ton of cash, which is needed due to the Bradley Beal wave and stretch, on top of getting a higher ceiling addition than Miles Bridges, who's a starting level power forward. And then I started thinking for 5 minutes after typing out my initial thoughts, and I said, excuse my language for this part, what bullshit did I just type out? I knew Phoenix had a rough draft situation, But then I did my research and figured out they didn't have access to their picks due to swaps, salary issues, and trades until 2033. But then you realize they traded that first rounder away unprotected for Miles Bridges. Obviously, his off-court stuff is insanely negative as a thing to have in your locker room and is within your vicinity. And honestly, Bridges just isn't good enough as a rebounder, defender, and consistent shooter for you to be giving up a potential top 5 pick in 2033 with zero protections. For the Hornets, they just have been simply feasting this offseason with just asset after asset after asset, acquiring some variable swaps, as well as picking up a potential blue chip asset when 2033 rolls around, while also getting rid of a presumably negative personality in that locker room, further emphasizing the trade the business point I made earlier.
Puts a jab step on Hawkins. Shows it.
So I was editing the video hoping no more trades would happen, which I guess was stupid on my part. This trade is absolutely confusing. I think this is the first clear-cut lose-lose trade, at least with the current rosters and assuming no more trades will happen. Speaking specifically about the Blazers, this trade does effectively make the Blazers the uncontested most athletic team in the NBA, but it also worsened their shooting even more than what it already was when you take into account they shot 34% from 3 against San Antonio in the playoffs. Scoot and Shaedon Sharpe are almost guaranteed as trade candidates, and honestly, this could backfire. Drew is regressing in every part of his game, and he's on a negative contract almost nobody would want and actually give up assets to get. I won't just repeat my initial thoughts that are on screen, but what I will say that the Blazers didn't give up any draft capital, meaning they can take a swing at a Kawhi Leonard, because I think there was reports that they're not trying to attack Jaylen Brown, but this does leave them with flexibility and freedom.
Of the way as Morant draws that contact.
If there are any more trades or any other big moves, they will just be in their own separate video because the Ja Morant one will just kind of squeeze in there. But yeah, if you did, enjoy and just discuss in the comments. I'm really hoping to get some comments in this video, have some genuine discussions, and just speak basketball.